Hi, and welcome back to Once Upon a Tiny Farm. My name's Drew. In today's video, I want to talk about a few experiments I've been doing with feeding my chickens rice and beans, specifically how I've been trying to ferment the rice and beans. Also, if you stick around towards the end of the video, I'm going to be talking about ways that I have priced out how much this would cost to feed your small flock of chickens or larger flock of chickens, based on a comment that I got from a viewer that I found very helpful on figuring out how much this actually costs and whether it's actually cheaper to feed your chickens rice and beans than buy pre-made mixed bags at the store. Stick around to the end and I'll tell you what I found out about that, and I think it's very helpful to a lot of chicken owners. So let's get into it. So I cooked up a batch of rice and beans last night. Well, technically rice and lentils. And what I'm gonna do with it is, this was where I was fermenting their grain feed. And I just ran out of this. As you can see, there's a little bit left in there. But I'm actually wondering, what if I ferment this cooked rice and beans, or rice and lentils, and cover it with water in this bucket? Maybe that will have some pretty good effects on their bellies, because the fermenting is good for them. So that's what I'm going to try in this video, is fermenting the rice and beans and see how they do. The way I see it, this bucket already had some fermenting bacteria in the bottom of the bucket from when I was fermenting grains this past week. So it already has that bacteria in the bottom to kickstart this new batch, which will help ferment this rice and beans mix. So I'm excited to see how this works out. All right, this is 1 day old fermented rice and lentils. Look at all the action in those bubbles. Let's see how much the birds like to eat this, huh? What do you think? Oh yeah, that looks good. You guys like this stuff? If you like it, tell me and I'll keep doing it. You gotta tell me though. Here's a little bit more. Good stuff. I fed this fermented rice and lentils to my young lavender Orpingtons, and they seem to be liking it too. So this is good. Look at them go. All right, back with another day of some fermented rice and lentils. They're hungry. We got a ton of eggs yesterday, which is a good sign on our first day of this. It has definitely got a fermented smell. Doesn't smell like it's bad, just smells like it's fermenting like it's supposed to. So we're giving them some probiotics, good for their gut, keep them healthy. They do seem to like this. I made a new batch of rice and beans, and I cooked 2 cups of white rice, 2 cups of navy beans, I believe, and covered it with water to the fill line in my Instant Pot for 40 minutes. All right, so this is how much we made from those 2 cups of beans and 2 cups of rice. And like I said, I think this is gonna feed our chickens for about 3 or 4 days. So I think I'm going to just divide it up now for 4 portions and see how much that is. And what are you doing? It's hot. We're gonna put it in these jars and divide it up for the next few days. All right, so I portioned it out in these quart jars, and what I'm actually gonna do here, there's 6 jars, quart jars in here, and if Matthew lets me, I'm going to fill these jars. I filled all of them about halfway with the rice and beans, and I'm going to cover them with water. So here we have 6 quart-sized jars of rice and beans covered in water, and this is us fermenting the rice and beans.
Like that.
Look at us.
Like that.
Yeah. So I just wanted to show, this is after 3 days of fermenting the rice and beans that we made the other day, a few days ago. Remember, I filled this jar halfway, and after sitting in the liquid for a few days, it's filled the whole jar. So it's expanded even more. So this is a way to get more bang for your buck with your homemade feed. It smells a little stinky like cheese, but still looks good, and we're gonna feed the birds. So let's see if they like it. Hey, get down. Woo! What? Yeah. Let's give him some more. I think they like it, and they knocked over their water already this morning. I try to give them fresh water every day, and they just knock it over like it's nobody's business. They definitely seem to like this feed. This is something I might keep doing. Alright, so I'm inside because it's crazy hot outside and I just can't work in the heat. But I want to share a really thoughtful comment that I got from somebody that commented. They're called No Place Like Home. I'm going to read you their comment on one of my previous chicken feed videos that was called The Ultimate Homemade Chicken Feed. So this person commented, I feed my chickens brown rice and pinto beans every day. They also free range for bugs and greens. They are producing eggs like crazy, have shiny feathers, and are happy, healthy, and full. I cook 2 cups of long grain brown rice and 2 cups of dry pinto beans with water to the full line in my Instant Pot for 40 minutes with the pressure on. This feeds my flock of 40 chickens. It's been so effective that we started feeding the peafowl the same mixture. The egg production is up for them as well. So when I read this, that made me feel really good, and it gave me some clarity on I just didn't know how much rice and beans that I should be feeding my chickens, and after I read that comment, that started getting my brain churning and trying to figure out, well, how much does it cost actually to feed my chickens rice and beans? Specifically, if I know that every time I put it in the pressure cooker I'm doing 2 cups of rice and 2 cups of beans, then I could work backwards and figure out the numbers based on how much it costs to buy the rice and beans, depending on where you get it. And I could figure out a number, how much it would cost to feed my flock of chickens. So that's what I did, and here's what I found out. Alright, so if this commenter can feed his chickens, his 40 chickens, 2 cups of rice and 2 cups of beans every day, that means that he would need, at the end of the month, that would be 30 cups of rice and 30 cups of beans for the whole month. You would do that every day. For me, if I have 10 birds in my flock, that would mean that I could cut that into a quarter. So I would need to cook this every 4 days. And my math might be off a little bit on this, but forgive me, I'm getting close. That means I would need about 16 cups beans and 16 cups of rice. And that would be the amount I'd need for a month for 10 birds. So stay with me. We got our rice and beans at a discount grocery store, and pretty good prices at that at that store. So it'll depend where you are, obviously, and where you're buying your things from, how much this will cost. But I'm just giving my experience on getting stuff at a very discount grocery store. So we got bags of navy beans, I think they were, for 79 cents for a 1-pound bag, which gave us about 3 cups per bag. And that means I would need 8 bags per month to feed my flock of 10. We also got 3-pound bags of rice for $2.99, which each bag of rice, each of those 3-pound bags of rice gave about 7 cups of rice. So I'm going to round up and say we'll need about 5 bags of that. So for 10 birds, with these prices that I got at this local grocery store, discount store, it would cost about $21.27 from the little math that I just did on that, for how much it would cost to feed a flock of 10 this rice and beans mixture, which I don't think is that expensive relatively. I know if you go to Tractor Supply, even some bags of non-GMO but not organic feed costs upwards of $30. So this is obviously less than that. So obviously I'm talking about just 10 birds for my flock, but if your flock was of 20 chickens, you would obviously double the price of that. If your flock is 40 chickens, you would double that again, so the price would go up depending on how many chickens you have. But that comment I found very helpful, because I think that's about what I've been putting in my Instant Pot when I'm making rice and beans for my chickens. And it's just helpful to work backwards from knowing that amount to figure out what you need and then figure out how much it would cost. And I think if you can get these the rice and beans at a discounted price, a good price, and you're still getting good products, you could still be feeding your chickens good food and without any fillers or additives that you would find in the pre-mixed bags at Tractor Supply or big box stores, whatever. And it's just a way to stay in control of what they're eating, and if that's important to you, it's important to me. So I found about $21 if you get the rice and beans at a discount grocer. So I think that's pretty good. I've also found that fermenting the feed, fermenting specifically the rice and beans, after a few days, it expands in size even more, so you're even getting more bang for your buck by fermenting that rice and beans that you already bought for a discounted price, if you're able to do that. So that's another way to even save more bucks, or just get more bang for your buck by fermenting the feed. And they're also getting more benefits from the fermentation process as well. One last thing I'd want to add about this diet is that I wouldn't call it a complete feed. I think you still need to definitely supplement with something else in their diet. You definitely want to still give them food scraps. You definitely want them to free range, if you are able to let them free range in some way, so they can get greens and bugs from the yard. You also want to make sure they're still getting like oyster shells and things like that for calcium. Also, I still feed them a good amount of black soldier fly larvae, and that's something I've talked about before. I really like feeding them the black soldier fly larvae. They go crazy for it. I have a discount code with a company called Grubterra that makes black soldier fly larvae. They're a really cool company, sustainable company, and I have a discount code. My discount code is called Tiny Farm, and if you use my code Tiny Farm at checkout, you'll get 10% off of black soldier fly products at Grubterra's website. So you can check that out in the link below this video. That's going to wrap up this video on ways you could save money by feeding your chickens rice and beans, and also tips on how to save money and stretch it a little further by fermenting it and giving them some added nutrition. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you're new here. I'd really appreciate that as well. So thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time.